looking for something that will turn a boy into a man, a follower into a leader, a punk into a pimp. The city is yours, boy. The city is yours like your shadow is yours.
Did he leave the seat up again?
Danny!
Well, ladies,
Now you can have the man of your dreams at just the touch of a button. With the Man app, you can have the convenience of a handyman, the sensitivity of a best friend, and the power of an upright in the palm of your hand. And when you're finished with him, no hassles. Just press a button and settle in for a peaceful night.
Talk, that's what you don't want me to do. All you wanna do is screw. Tonight's me, I got news for you. Still I'm quick in your zone.
Hi, I'm Andre Tucker, and thanks for coming to StarNet Studios. And with me, I have Miss Holly Adams. She is a great actress and producer and director of many different short films. She's got a feature coming up that we're going to talk about that she's working on, and we're going to get to know Holly a little bit. So, hi, Holly. How are you?
Hi, Andre. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
All right, well, good. And like I said, you're working on a feature that's coming up, No Place, and we'll get to talking about No Place here shortly. But one thing I want to touch upon that I noticed is that you are currently in New Mexico, right?
Yes, I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico, movie maker's #1 place to make a movie.
Okay, now I'm glad you said that. Now tell me a little bit about that because I know that I believe Breaking Bad and some other things were done there, and so tell me about because people think Los Angeles, New York, probably Atlanta, and Albuquerque as well. But tell me a little bit about the Albuquerque film experience.
Well, I will tell you, Albuquerque is now the hub of production for Netflix. They have bought. They've invested a lot of money here, and they're committed to spending $1 billion here in New Mexico in the next 10 years. They purchased what was called Albuquerque Studios just south of here, probably 5 miles from where I live, and they are actually expanding. They bought 300 more acres to expand, and they're adding a mill, a lumber mill, so that they can build sets out there. They're also creating a commissary and a lot more sound stages. So I think of Albuquerque as the factory where they make the films right here.
All right. Do you know if there's any studio tours going on out in Albuquerque?
I don't
anywhere?
think yet, not during COVID yet.
Okay.
And production has been really shut down here, but I just got word that they're starting up production. This morning, I got an email from the New Mexico Film Office, and they're a fantastic resource if you're interested, that there are 7 productions coming next month. So things have been really slow during COVID, but it's picking right back up.
Okay. So, yes, you're currently in Albuquerque, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe you are I'm here in Houston. So I believe you are a Texan. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm a native Texan. I'm not real proud. Sorry about that, Andre, but I'm not real proud of that.
Oh, okay.
I moved.
Sorry, didn't mean to touch
I
a
left
nerve
home.
there.
Yeah, I left home at 13. I didn't quite fit in Texas. My hair nor my boobs were big enough. They want big blonde hair, and I just didn't have that. I started as a professional ballet dancer and went to San Francisco Ballet at the age of 13, and from there I never really went back to Texas.
Okay. Well, tell me about so was that your first introduction into performance then? Is that then it led
Yes.
to acting, or how did that kind of come about?
Yes, absolutely. So I was with San Francisco Ballet, then I went to Milwaukee Ballet, And from there, well, it's a long story, but they fired our director of the company. And at the time, punk was happening. I was super into punk, and so I had a little girl band. I had an all-girl band, which was great because by day I was dancing, and by night I was on stage performing in the band. But they fired our director and all of the dancers except for the two principal dancers, and so all of a sudden I had no job. But this other director came into town and he asked me to do my first jazz show, which took me to Curacao and then to Montreal. And I saved up enough money, $2,000, to go to New York City and make work on a career there. And I did. I worked as a professional dancer. I got a Broadway show, and then my Achilles tendon snapped. And so I started acting, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me because you can't dance forever, and I can act till I'm 100 years old. So, so from there, I starred in a bunch of underground films during the cinema of transgression in the 80s and 90s. And what I loved about it is these filmmakers would just be like, let's make a movie. They were not asking permission. They just said, we're going to go make a movie, and they did it on Super 8 film. So my first film that I actually wrote and starred in was called Nymphomania, and it showed at the Museum of Modern Art in 2018. So I'm retro now. And anyway, so it's got some legs. That movie it's a bit controversial, and that's the kind of work I like to do, is very feminist, kind of in your face work. I'm not interested in making Hallmark films. I have a very distinct style, so you either like it or you don't. Currently, my next film is kind of a Tarantino-esque film, and I've been labeled the female Tarantino, and so I'm trying to run with that a little bit.
Yeah, I did catch that, the female Tarantino, and actually you have my apologies because I meant to actually, when I introduced you there, I actually meant to include that, but I'm glad you had brought that up yourself. 'Cause I was certainly going to bring that up once we start talking a little bit more about No Place. But before we get to that, I noticed one thing kind of jumped out at me as far as your past work. I mean, you mentioned Nymphomania, and I got a chance to look at that. And also, you got a little sci-fi background. You have the No Such Thing as Gravity. Is that right?
Right. Yes. And so that's part of a trilogy. So the first thing I auditioned for as an actor was Betaville, and it's a spoof on Jean-Luc Godard's Alphaville from the French New Wave. And so basically I looked as much like anyone, the star of that film, than anyone else for nothing, right? So I only had one line in the movie, but I was the star of it. And if those of you who are filmmakers out there listening, sound will kill you. So that film was made without sound, but we recorded in a studio. So because sound will really, it's kind of the mark of a professional or not, so, in the film industry. So so that's interesting. But yeah, it was Betaville, then No Such Thing as Gravity, and then The Deflowering. And all three are kind of a sci-fi trilogy. It's called Multiple Futures. And yeah, so I got to play a lot of kind of sciencey women and ladies, which was fantastic.
And I also believe earlier you mentioned something about a band. Is that when you were speaking earlier, you mentioned something
yes,
about doing
I had a band in Milwaukee with a group of girls. We were called the Curves, and I played a Farfisa organ and kind of sang and posed a little bit on the stage. It was fun. It was short-lived, but it was fun. We did get to open for the Stray Cats, so that was nice.
Okay. Rock this town, rock it inside out.
Oh yeah, you got it. Stray Cat Strut.
All right. Now, has that have any connection, or shall I say, does this share the same universe? One of your pieces was Leather Kittens Gone Bad. Does that have any connection to your band days, or is that just completely
no,
separate?
That's a very interesting story. So to make money here, so basically I got out of New York because I wanted a kid. I did not want to have a stroller in the subway. But I did come here and have the kid. But when I got divorced, and part of the reason I got divorced is my husband was telling me, who are you to think you can make a movie? And that's exactly the right thing to tell me, because he just lit my fire. I'm like,
Right.
I'm making movies. So what happened was I'm a realtor here in Albuquerque. I'm pretty successful. But in 2008, when the bottom dropped out of real estate, I decided, well, I better figure something else out. And so I started teaching acting. And so all the cast members from that movie were in my acting class, and we decided to pool our money and do the 48-hour film project. So I don't know if you're familiar with that, but you have 48 hours to make a movie. On Friday night, you pull your subject, and that was musical. You have a line of dialogue you have to do, and a character and a prop. Okay. And so we quickly wrote that and we got musical. And fortunately, I had a wonderful composer who created the song for that. And that's where that came from. Now, in 48 hours, we're not going to have the best cut, the best edit. So what we did after it played at the 48, and we got audience favorite. After it played in the 48, we took the footage and recut it, and we made it into a lot better of a film.
Okay. So that kind of brings us more a little bit in line with what you're working on now. You have as the female Tarantino, you have what's coming up. You have No Place. So what's No Place going to be like, and what's your projected timeline on that?
So it's a road picture drama, and I call it white trash Buddhism, because I believe that no matter how this woman has the young girl, she's 15, she's been incested, and she kills her father and takes off on the road. Okay, but she comes into her womanhood, and I believe that love is possible no matter how low you've gone, no matter from what walk of life you are. You have the possibility for enlightenment and reincarnation. And so there's kind of a spiritual element, but it's very kind of Tarantino-esque with a lot of super quirky characters on the way. We've got exercise guru a la Richard Simmons. I love Bob Odenkirk to play. We've got a couple who are ex-ballroom champs. They're in their 80s who own the motel, and they teach them that there's no place like home. If you notice, it's called No Place, and they're both leaving home only to find home. And basically, sorry, I've got a text that is a rooster crow. Anyway, so yeah, there are a lot of quirky characters they meet along the way. And they actually fall in love, but in the end, they're reborn. They get killed in the end, as you see a lot in road pictures. It's kind of Thelma and Louise meets The Wizard of Oz. Yeah, they get killed in the end, but they're immediately reborn as one person. And it's really about the possibility that love is possible for everyone, and that we really are all one. So it's got this kind of undertone spirituality to it, but it's gonna have great music like Tarantino. It's gonna have a lot of violence. There's some guns involved, but still they're going to find love.
So instead of, you mentioned Wizard of Oz, so instead of a yellow brick road, we're basically just traveling the roads of New Mexico, I suppose.
That's correct. Yes. And they start in there's a small town that I think is now a ghost town called House, New Mexico. They start in House, New Mexico, and they end up in Silver City. So it's kind of like Emerald City, But yes, they travel along the way, and my ballroom champs are the woman is kind of like Glinda the Good Witch. And then we've got a mean lady who gives her the red shoes. So she gets some red shoes, of course. So yeah, you can see it. You can see that I have an animatic made for one of the more difficult scenes, and that's on noplacemovie.com.
Yeah, I saw that, and I did see what she ends up doing with one of the red shoes. Yes, so
Right.
that definitely caught my attention.
Caught your
Right.
eye, huh?
So speaking of which, when can we see a little bit more detail? What's your timeline? When do you expect that
So
to?
I've been picked up by Buffalo 8. They're my executive producer. And I just got the budget and schedule from them last week, so I perfected that. We're going to be working on the pitch deck, and they're going to send it out to get packaged with actors. I have several name actors in mind. They're also going to take it to distribution companies, and then they'll decide what caliber of actor they think I can get. And then they're going to start raising the money. I'm hoping to shoot it late summer this year. And there's a lot of exteriors, so I'd rather do it when it's warm out.
Right.
Yeah. But all will be contained right here in New Mexico.
Okay. So if anyone wanted to learn more about No Place or any of your other works, where would they go to take a look? What website or?
So I have it's www.hollyadamsfilms.com. And then there's also noplacemovie.com. So you can click, if you go to my website for my films, there's a click to the No Place site on there. Or you can go directly to the No Place movie.
Okay. Okay. Well, that sounds great. We'll certainly be on the lookout for that, and want to see what happens in No Place. I mean, like how it, the journey, if you will. Can't wait to see that journey, and look forward to that. So, Miss Holly, thank you for your time. I appreciate you coming on StarNet Studios, and like I said, we'll be watching. So,
thanks for having me, Andre. It was great to see you.